pianist sits down, hands hover above the keys, one breath. Then, an explosion of notes, too fast, too dense, too precise. A sudden leap across the keyboard. The hand hesitates. One mistake. Everything collapses. Notes blur. Rhythm breaks. Control is gone. This isn't a bad performance. This is what happens when a pianist attempts Scarbo by Maurice Ravel, a piece designed to break even the best. So the question is, why does this one piece break pianists more than any other? Every concert, every competition, every viral clip brings audiences who crave the illusion of effortless perfection. Fingers glide, the music dazzles, and the myth grows. Some players seem untouchable, their technique immune to failure, their nerves unbreakable. But behind the curtain, the pressure is suffocating. In this world, a single mistake can shatter a career. The expectation is not just to play the notes, it is to make the impossible look easy. Reputation is built on the image of flawlessness. The more impossible the piece, the more a pianist's name glows. Yet the higher the pedestal, the thinner the air. This is why Scarbo carries such weight. It is not just a test of skill. It is a public trial of human limits, staged in front of hundreds, sometimes thousands, who expect nothing less than the superhuman. The culture of the piano world rewards those who never seem to sweat and who never show the cost. But the truth is, every performance is a gamble. Every note is a risk. The hands can falter, the mind can freeze, and the myth can break in an instant. What does it take to truly measure the edge? When does the pursuit of perfection cross the line into self-destruction? Scarbo does not just ask these questions, it forces them. Every pianist knows the usual tests, fast scales, big jumps, thick chords, but Scarbo is different. To explain why, you need a new kind of toolkit, a way to measure exactly how a piece can break you. There are 5 limits, each one a line you cross at your own risk. Speed is the first. How many notes can your hands deliver, clean and even, before your muscles seize and your mind blanks? Endurance comes next. It is not about a single burst, but whether you can keep going when the passage never lets up, when your arms burn and the finish line keeps moving away. Then there is reach, the distance your hands must leap, sometimes 2 octaves or more, again and again, faster than your eyes can track. Density is the 4th. This is not just a wall of notes, but multiple voices stacked on top of each other, each demanding attention, each threatening to vanish if you lose focus for a second. Finally, coordination. Both hands, all 10 fingers, running separate races at once, crossing, weaving, colliding, each with its own logic, none forgiving a single slip. Most music tests 1 or 2 of these. This piece attacks all 5 at once, and it does not allow recovery. It accelerates failure. The result is not just technical, it is total. When every limit is pushed at the same time, the margin for error shrinks to nothing. That is the difference. Scarbo is not just hard, it is a stress test for the whole system. In the Devil Dance bars, 264 to 266, the right hand alone fires off 48 30-second notes in just a few heartbeats. At full tempo, that is a note every 75 milliseconds. The left hand is right there, doubling the chaos. No time to breathe, no time to reset. Ravel's score demands more than speed. It wants every finger, every tendon, every neuron on high alert. In these passages, Scarbo stacks 6 independent voices, not 2, not 4, 6. Each one twisting through the others, crossing, colliding, vanishing if your focus slips for a split second. The fingers must split, stretch, and crisscross the keyboard with no warning. Octave leaps explode out of nowhere, sometimes 2 octaves, sometimes more. The hand has to jump from the low bass to the high treble and land perfectly, again and again, faster than your eyes can track. In bar 283, the leap stretches a major 10th, 2.5 octaves. It is impossible to fake, impossible to fudge. Miss by a centimetre and the whole texture cracks open. There are no rests, not a single bar to recover. The pedal marks, half pedal here, full pedal there, force the foot into a constant dance. balancing clarity and blur. Even the most advanced fingerings, the ones passed down from Brandwein and the Urtext editors, are survival guides. Thumb under finger, divisi between hands, split the voices or drown. This is not just a wall of notes. It is a numeric assault on the body. The margin for error is 0. Scarbo does not just test the limits, it erases them. The piece does not allow recovery, it accelerates failure. A pianist's hands can only take so much. Scarbo is where the body's warning lights start flashing red. Electromyography readings tell the story. Muscle activation in the forearm surges to 45% of maximum voluntary contraction. That's the same as clenching your fist, not for seconds but for minutes, while moving at breakneck speed. The heart's rhythm, measured by heart rate variability, drops by 15%. Stress hormones climb. The body enters fight or flight, but there is nowhere to run. At 13 notes per second, the error rate spikes. One missed note, and the next 3 or 4 are likely to slip too, a cascade. The data is brutal. At full Scarbo tempo, error probability jumps to 12%. Recovery is not just hard, it is mathematically unlikely. The fingers cramp, the wrist locks. The brain, overloaded by 6 voices and split-second leaps, starts to lose track. Every system is in overload: muscles, nerves, memory, attention. The collapse is not theoretical, it is visible, sometimes even on stage. In a filmed masterclass, a pianist's right hand starts to tremble in the devil dance bars. The tempo wobbles, the left hand lags behind. Notes blur, then vanish. The myth of control shatters, caught on camera, in real time. One pianist said that it felt like his hands stopped listening and he could not feel his fingers. This is the price of Scarbo. Not just fatigue, but breakdown. The piece does not allow recovery. It accelerates failure. When the body hits its limit, it is not a gentle fade, it is a wall. And on the other side of that wall, only survival matters. His legendary 1978 Paris recording, when measured against Ravel's score, runs slower than the published tempo in the most brutal passages. The waveform does not lie, the coda stretches, the 30-second notes breathe. Horowitz lets the tempo sag just enough to keep his hands from locking up. In the devil dance bars, the audio reveals a subtle rubato, tiny pauses, imperceptible in the hall, but clear in the data. The myth of invincibility. It is a mirage. Marc-André Hamelin, known for his mechanical precision, makes his own choices. In the Deutsche Grammophon recording, spectral analysis shows inner voices trimmed, grace notes dropped. The notes are not all there, but the illusion holds. Even Urtext editions, cross-checked against Ravel's manuscript, reveal penciled-in shortcuts and alternative fingerings scrawled by generations of survivors. Perfection is not the rule, it is the exception. The icons adapt, and the world listens in awe. The precedent is set. Survival is not a weakness. It is the only way through Scarbo. No one conquers Scarbo alone. Survival takes a different kind of practice, a toolkit built for the edge. The first weapon is chunking. Break the impossible into pieces and drill each fragment until the hands know it cold. Studies show that segmental practice cuts error rates nearly in half, even at breakneck speed. Next comes weight playing. Instead of forcing every note, let gravity do the work. Drop the arm, let the fingers fall, and the forearm muscles relax. Biomechanics research proves this lowers muscle activation by up to 20%, delaying the onset of fatigue. Then comes eccentric training, the slow, controlled lowering of the wrist flexors, which raises the tendon failure threshold by 15%, giving the hands a fighting chance in the devil bars. These are not tricks, they are survival drills. The goal is not to look invincible, it is to last. Scarbo does not allow recovery. It accelerates failure. But with the right tools, the line between collapse and mastery moves, just enough for a pianist to make it to the end. Most music tests 1 or 2 limits. This piece attacks all 5 at once. It doesn't allow recovery, it accelerates failure. Perfection is not the goal, survival is. At this level, even genius breaks. So, is this truly the most destructive piano piece ever written?